you guys, let me just assume, have you ever heard of something from the river to the sea? You know what that means?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You see...
No, please, don't even go, don't beat around the bush. I just want them, because I think you know the meaning to that.
Charles.
Don't explain it like a PhD graduate.
No. I get what you're trying to say. It's about the genocide of the Israelis.
And what exactly? So let me ask you, when the people who are fighting for this freedom, what do you think they are fighting for? Like, because I think they have explicitly stated what they are fighting for. They have not left it for anyone to guess. You know, because you guys have very cute definitions.
Interesting.
The problem,
interesting that you bring that up.
You guys have very nice definitions, which actually I do agree with.
No, Charles.
But I don't think these people are fighting for the same cause as you are.
Hi guys, welcome to Two Mics. It's always a pleasure having you on our show. So today we're discussing a very contentious issue, the issue of Israel and Palestine. And a little of a background, what is happening currently, Israel is hitting the hell out of Palestine. And obviously, as you know, the Palestinian land is divided into two. We have the Gaza Strip and we have the West Bank. So the Gaza Strip obviously is fully occupied by the Palestinians. But then the West Bank, which is also supposed to be held by the Palestinians, we've seen Israelis infiltrating that land and taking property and stealing property from Palestinians supposed to be occupying that land. And obviously, there's a bit of nuance to the discussion. But just to lay a foundation to the discussion, that is the issue. So currently what is happening is the Israelis are fighting Hamas on the Gaza Strip. And the reason for this is because Hamas, for those of you who might not know, so Hamas currently are the guys who are running the Gaza Strip, and the intention is to try and drive out Israelis and the Israeli manipulation from that side. So they are currently freedom fighting, so to speak. So, Charles, you are not a strong supporter of Palestinians. So what is your opinion on what is happening currently in the Israeli-Palestinian complex?
Because it's like that time, it is asking me a question and he's already portrayed me in a certain way. Like, Charles, you're not a supporter of Palestinians. The last time alisemaje, like, he just gives a very definitive statement and then puts you in a position where you now have to. This is the proper CNN kind of interview, right? Oh, Nambiwa, you are gay. Why are you gay? And then you now have to start like...
I'm not gay.
Yeah, you now have to start at a place where we've already been.
Just tell us, what is your position?
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something I've told you so many times before. I think it's very complicated. The situation there is very complicated.
No, Trump is going to solve it within 24 hours when he becomes president.
I think that's Ukraine. I think that's what he said.
Okay. These things are complicated.
But me, CJ, was surprised with you on fake news. So here's the thing. But then Moretti will make a very good journalist at CNN.
Okay, go ahead.
Because there's a way you know how to twist stories. But here's the thing. There's a way you can argue, someone can argue they are pro-Palestinian. And it comes out different ways. You could be pro-Palestinian in the sense that, you could be pro-Palestinian in two ways. One way is you think that Hamas needs to fight for the rights of the people in Palestine and Israel is oppressing them, and Palestine is here Hamas is here to liberate the Palestinians from Gaza and the West Bank. So there's a way you can argue. And then the other people who are like, we are pro-Palestinians, what does that mean? We mean that we need to eradicate, like the Palestinians need to live free of Hamas. And that is to say that Hamas is an illegitimate ruling group of people.
But then you cannot say that without trying to look at how Hamas came to power. You have to contextualize it.
Yeah. So there's that.
And for the audience, just for context, how Hamas came into power is there was Israelis were trying to negotiate.
I think it's the PLA.
Yeah, the PLA. They were trying to negotiate, and then there are so many boardrooms meetings, and then the people in Gaza were suffering. So Hamas comes in, of course, with funding from, I think, Iran and God knows which other Muslim nations, and they provide education, schools, they provide hospitals, they provide infrastructure. So these guys came in at a time when people in Gaza were suffering. So now the thing is, at the beginning, currently it might be different, but at the beginning, Hamas came into power because there was a vacuum when it comes to leadership, when there was a vacuum in terms of service provision, and that is what Hamas provided.
Okay, so when
the
vacuum ended,
sight of that
so when
context.
the vacuum ended,
No, the vacuum has not ended. Just right now, as we speak, right now in the world, according to World Food Program, about 1 million people are ranked as completely at food risk globally. But they were saying 80% of that population right now is in the Gaza Strip, and World Food Program have a 5-step ranking of all the people in terms hear me out. Haiti, the World Food Program has a 5-step classification system of food security. 1, you're good. 2, you're kind of not good. 3, risk begins. 4, you are at risk. 5, you are insecure. Do you know majority of Gaza Strip is in step 3 and above?
Okay, question for you, Murej.
50% of Gaza Strip is step 3 and above.
Question for you, Murej.
Do you know, Charles, let me tell you. I want to paint a picture. 1 in 4 households in Gaza Strip right now, Charles, are in step 5.
Okay, Murej.
So my point is, do not say that the need has gone. The need is still there.
Okay, fine. Question to you. You said Hamas came in to do all these things, build hospitals, what. Okay, we know that. However, the people are still in a lot of poverty, right?
And food insecurity.
Food insecurity. So what happened along the way that Hamas was not able to achieve its goals?
Charles, that is you shooting yourself in the foot. And
I'm actually asking you just because I understand.
Because you know why? I'll give you a very simple reason. It's because Israel has blocked. You've had the argument that Gaza Strip is an open prison. Gaza Strip is an open air prison where the entire region is blockaded all the way around, including on the seaside. Egypt itself cannot be able to access Gaza Strip to offer support because all areas have been blocked by Israel. That's the reason why.
So you're basically
and number two, the fact that these guys do not have a government. And government...
Which guys?
No, the Palestinians don't have a country. And that legitimacy of a country is able to enable you to be able to get support. Being a country enables you to be able to support your people. But now if you are just a people, some random people, you're not able to give support to your people. And that's what I'm saying. To answer your question, these kind of interventions that would have been able to help the people of Palestine, the Palestinians, they're not able to get that kind of intervention for that simple reason.
So, no. I'm actually trying to get some information.
No, he's asking, because I'm trying to tell him, I was trying to create a context of how Hamas came about. Yeah, so Hamas did not just happen.
So how did it go? Building hospitals, schools, and all these hospital schools and everything. We got to a point where we are now launching an attack on Israel.
The simple answer will be freedom fighting.
Okay. And when we do the freedom fighting, what is the end goal?
The end goal?
Becoming a sovereign people. Having your own country. Being able to live without having to feel the oppressor's gun in your face.
Okay. Those things, to be honest, when you talk, it sounds so cute, by the way. Here's the thing. So, you guys, let me just assume, have you ever heard of something from the river to the sea? You know what that means?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You see...
No, please, don't even go, don't beat around the bush. I just want them, because I think you know the meaning to that.
Charles.
Don't explain it like a PhD graduate
No. I get what you're trying to say. It's about the genocide of the Israelis.
And what exactly?
Support it.
So let me ask you, when the people who are fighting for this freedom, what do you think they are fighting for? Like, because I think they have explicitly stated what they are fighting for. They have not left it for anyone to guess. Because you guys have very cute definitions.
Interesting. Charles, interesting that you bring that up.
You guys have very nice definitions, which actually I do agree with.
No, Charles.
But I don't think these people are fighting for the same cause as you are.
Do you know, government officials, let me give you some few quotes. The government officials, now that you've brought that up
Which
against...
government officials are you talking about?
Israeli government officials. Now that you've brought that up against the Palestinians, as a rallying call for their cause... No. You know, one of government officials has called those people animals. Yeah?
Which people?
The Palestinians.
I think you mean Hamas. I don't think it's Palestinians.
No. They also said, government officials of Israel have said there are no non-combatants in Palestine. So from their point of view, all Palestinians are combatants. Therefore, it's fair game. They continuously... in fact, there's an official who said, I don't want to call them animals. That would be a dignity to call them animals. So now tell me, Charles, you've brought from the river to the sea. It's a rallying call for the cause of this side, and this other side also clearly as their own rallying call. So let us not try to... I would say, to answer your question, Charles, I would say it's an issue of aiming for the sun and rallying to the moon. I want to say, my idea is to do what I can be able to do to get liberation. But to me, as Kelvin, I'm not saying that we should eradicate Israel. Obviously, there are people, there are innocent people there, right? But the perfect solution for this, at least from where I stand, is to give the Palestinians sovereignty.
Okay, fine.
But now, that has become very complicated because of Israel's actions in the West Bank especially.
Murichi, have you ever heard of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine, UNRWA?
No, I have not.
UNRWA is like a branch of the United Nations, specifically for Palestinians. What they do, it's like it's them, and also it's not just them. You've heard of like people like the Swedish government pausing all their aid to Palestine. Also, the US has been doing that on the side, and also British government and all those things. They have been actually pumping money to Palestine before October 7th. You're smiling because you think that's fake news, right?
No, because I know it might not be fake news, but it is stupid news. It's what people... It's a bandage to a bullet wound.
Okay,
Charles.
And once again, could you wait until the...
Could me elastoplaster for a bullet wound?
Okay.
What are you trying to do?
No. What I'm simply trying to say, Moretti, is when you talk about Hamas, here's the thing, and this is not even in defending Israel, because I'll get to Israel later. The thing with Palestine is they have a government. Like they elect who I don't know, like they've had a prime minister before. Even right now, no, it's not actually the de facto government.
It is the de facto government.
They have a president.
They have a majority in parliament.
But let me ask you.
But they do not have a central government. They do not have a central government that has a prime minister or a president.
Palestine doesn't have a prime minister?
No. It's the head of Hamas. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Palestinian prime minister, I think, I don't know his name right now. They used to, I think he's Abbas, and before that one there was a couple.
Arafat was in PLA.
It's okay.
PLA.
Yeah. What I'm simply trying to say is, have you heard of the situation where all these like NGOs have been pumping money to these places, and what goes on in, let's say, like schools in Palestine is the radicalization of these people to hate Jews and to hate Israel. And just a minute before we go on, I'd like also to say that the same thing happens in Israel. In Israel, those kids are also radicalized to I'm just saying.
So I think you see, first of all, you need to appreciate that we're not talking about a conflict that started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
This is it's actually, I think,
historically
the longest running conflict in the history of the current world as we know it. So when we talk about this radicalization, I don't even think I can call it radicalization. Because to them, it's history.
It's true. It's true. They, like...
It's a daily thing that they have to deal with. From both sides, to be fair.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But Mureti, let me finish what I'm saying. So you have a bunch of people already radicalized in Palestine and others in Israel, right? And basically, the Jews they're taught that this land is ours. Nobody can get us out of here. And in fact, not just this land, it also extends to their land and things like that. And these other guys are told this land is ours. And the funny thing is, we have nowhere to go. But also, if you get a chance, kill these guys.
So
because
who is being taught this, the killing? The Israeli or the Palestinian?
both sides.
Okay, fair
both
enough.
sides.
Okay.
So you get a group of people who are apprehensive of each other. If I see the person from the other side, even when they meet in Kenya, they have to hate each other because that's how we've been taught.
The same thing with Indians and Pakistanis.
So there is already there's a way. So when they call people, I know, like, because I also, Mureti, I think I've read a little bit of the news, and I know when they refer to animals, I think they just mean, it's just that Israelis have the bigger guns, but what they're actually saying is, these people have been radicalized since they were kids to hate us. The only way to overcome this is to get rid of them, and I'm not advocating for that kind of reasoning. I'm just saying that's how it is. But also you have Hamas, that is not an elected government, has basically overrun the elected government and is driving everything.
No. Hamas has not overrun the elected government. Hamas is the elected government. What happened was...
Is Abbas, like the minister called Abbas, do you think is the president of Palestine? Is it the president?
You cannot have a president if you don't have a country.
Okay, let me ask. Do you think he's the one who...
The thing is, Charles...
But have you heard stories of him? Does he give orders to Hamas?
He's the head of Hamas, but
he's not even the head of Hamas.
But I'm saying, Charles, you need to have an understanding that the Palestinian people do not have a franchise. The Palestinian people do not have franchise. They do not have a country. They do not vote. They do not have a passport. For you to be able to especially for people in the West Bank, Charles.
Okay, Mureti, I don't disagree with you on those things.
Look, Charles,
you see, the problem is...
All I'm trying to tell you is this, Charles. All I'm trying to tell you is this. Someone gave a very good analogy that I really liked. Today, Charles, in this house of yours, me and Tito comes, anakuchapa na kuweka kwa choo. Sawa. Anakuchapa na kufungia kwa hicho yako. Sawa. And then Tito comes, he's having a party with his friends and they are drinking. Or having fun and drinking meat and eating whatever they have doing. And then, from the toilet, unatoka unakuja unachapa Tito. So, that is not an aggression. That is self-defense. Because you cannot come and you're kicking someone from his own place, Charles, and when they attack, you are calling it an act of terrorism or an act of what is it called? Aggression. I am defending what is mine. I'm defending my franchise.
You know, that's exactly the same thing the British were saying about the Mau Mau.
Yes, actually the British say Mau Mau were terrorists.
Terrorists.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. There's a podcast I listened. You guys will probably not like the name I'm about to drop. But you guys are going to like it.
We will not be shocked.
Candiso,
it's not Candiso. He's like Russian, I think. And it was
Lex Friedman.
Yeah, Lex Friedman. There's a podcast he has with a guy called this is the name you guys would like, Jared Kushner.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting.
The most vanilla Trump.
Yeah, he's fine, and he's actually Jewish as well.
Okay.
He's actually Jewish, and in the podcast,
Jared Kushner.
Yeah, it's Lex Friedman. I think he's mostly Russian. I think he's Russian. He's a. Yeah.
So of course there'll be objective just about the Palestinians, right?
Yeah.
They'll be very objective.
But to be honest, I would encourage you guys to listen to that podcast because one thing he talks about there is that when Trump was president, you guys have heard about the Abraham Accords, right? They were working on a kind of strategy to normalize the tensions in the Middle East, and their approach was to get Israel. And you see, all these discussions we're having, we have not even started talking about Iran. And Iran is like the big shadow behind Hamas.
So is the US, right?
It's fine.
Yeah.
But basically what was going on was
Two shadows. So
some kind of...
let's remain objective. Let's talk about the shadows.
There was some kind of project that was going on between Israel and Akina Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, Jordan. And you had Akina Saudi Arabia saying, we're going to get into this deal, yes, but before you do that, Israel has to recognize Palestine as a nation. And you had the government of Israel saying, we see, and it was not just a political agreement, it was also like something like you know the way we create this ECOWAS and SADC and all those things. There was a kind of trade and economic bloc that was going to be created out of all this. And from the point of Americans and some certain countries in the Middle East, their aim was to counter Iran's influence in the Middle East. And this was a concession that Israel was ready to make regarding Palestine, that let's do this deal. And once we do this deal, it increases the prosperity of the Middle East. It brings these countries together, reduces the tensions between these countries and Israel.
And what happened?
So you can see by excluding Iran, Iran was always working behind the scenes to bring this, not to puppeteer, to cause this deal not to go ahead.
So now, Charles,
and just a minute. So you see an attack like this one for what people don't know about the attack for Hamas recently. Sorry?
The recent
the October 7th one. That attack wasn't just a single day attack. It wasn't just a symbol of the defiance of Palestinians to get their freedom. That was also an attack on this deal and the Abraham Accords, in a way to remind these other countries, Muslim countries that are making a pact with Israel, that these people are not one of us.
But no, see, Charles,
and just a minute. What people don't understand about this conflict is that it's much, much larger. You can't just look at it isolated.
I get that.
There's a way in which Israel's integration with this, and even actually just yesterday or the day before, the Saudis were actually still saying, despite everything that's going, we are still ready to normalize relationships with Israel. And you know, when Saudis, how inflationary it is, if they agree this,
yes,
all this countries
I get that, Charles. I agree with you. We cannot afford to look at this superficially, but also it's important to note, as my parting shot, even that as we are running out of time, it's important to understand whichever approach that we might take to have a two-state nation. The West Bank remains a complicated bloc.
As a West Bank?
West Bank. Because Gaza is clear. That's all Palestinians. But now the West Bank, which is supposed to be part of the Palestinian land, we have Israelis who've infiltrated that land. So it's like Kiambu County, you're saying it's for Kikuyus, but then we have Merus who have gone within Meru and they've partitioned that land. So it becomes very complicated to have a two-state nation. So my parting shot would be this. The only solution for this thing is either one, Palestinians are absolved to become Israelis, which that will not happen because of all the puppeteering that is happening in the background, and also because the Hamas would never have that happen. Or number two, having two states, Palestine and Israel, but that would not also happen because the Israelis are within Palestinian territory. So the only solution is for these Israelis who've occupied.
Actually, think that will happen.
The Israelis who've occupied the West Bank to leave.
Actually, think that will happen. The two-state solution. Yeah. You ask me what will be one of Trump's things, like some of the things he might be able to achieve. I think that's one of the things he'll be able to achieve.
Hopefully, let's see. Let's hope that happens. It might not happen. If he succeeds in if
you see the thing,
the reason why it might be very hard to achieve this is because remember the West Bank is one of the most fertile and watered regions of that
still
whole
going
strip.
to happen.
So Israelis absconding land that is so valuable to them is going to be complicated. But I'm saying,
going to happen.
I'm hoping, let me hope, against all hope, that Trump in the second term will manage to do what he was not able to do in the first term.
Oh, he was actually. Moretti, here's the thing.
So,
and I think this is
he was not able to do it because...
Go listen
let's
to that
complete.
podcast. You know, you just don't
I'll
like...
listen to it.
People don't like... This is my parting shot. People don't like to hear the word Jared Kushner, and people also don't like Trump. But here's the thing. Go listen to that podcast by Lex Friedman and Jared Kushner. You might hate the people in that podcast, but in that podcast, and it's clearly documented. In fact, when Biden became president, he was actually advised by a lot of people, a lot of experts in the Middle East. He was told, you see that Abraham Accords? That's what you need to focus on for long-lasting peace in the Middle East.
Yes.
And actually, even before October 7th happened, a lot of experts were saying it was really, really quiet in the Middle East. There was nothing going on. Like, people were so used to conflicts, and they had never seen the quietness and the calmness in the Middle East as the way it was. And all of that can be attributed to the Abraham Accords. And I think when Trump becomes president, I hope he does. I'm not sure if he will, but if he does, this whole thing of removing sanctions on Iran and giving Iran money, and also, like getting rid of the Abraham Accords, this is exactly what has got us here.
Okay.
And all these things.
Let us hope that Trump manages what no one has managed, and hopefully we'll have long-lasting peace in the Middle East. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Tuna hoped we'll have you in the next episode, and we're always open to hearing your opinions. So in case you have something to tell us, please drop us some messages on our socials, and we'd really appreciate, and we'll give we'll use that feedback to better ourselves. Thank you so much. Bye.